In Path of Exile, big damage doesn't count up, it erases the evidence. 1 enemy vanishes, 10 detonates, and the rest forget they were ever summoned. Today, we're building a thunderstorm you can steer, Herald of Thunder. Powered by the Lycia's bloodline, Farewell to Flesh. Pinnacle bosses, T-17s, all without a headhunters or a mageblade, and just a pocket of the universe of lightning. Hello everyone, it's Entry here, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, here's the engine. The base Herald of Thunder will create the storms after you kill a shocked enemy. We equip Storm Secret, which means whenever we shock, we also spawn the storms. And with the Shaper of Storms, every hit will shock. This result is storms on tap. But there's a surprise though. Each time a storm hits an enemy, we take a fixed 250 lightning damage. That's our self-damaging clock. So we beat this by stacking maximum lightning resistance and leeching energy shield constantly. A Vessel of Vingtar, a plus max lightning source like Falborn Voice of the Storm, push us to the low 80s for the max lightning rest, so each tick will hurt far less. Then we socket the energy leech support into Herald of Thunder and take Ghost River, turning our hits into a steady ES leech and doubling up the leech cap. Together, those layers let us ride the storm instead of getting fried by it. So we're done with the basic, let's focus on our main topic, Lycia's bloodline ascendancy, Farewell of the Flesh. So this ascendancy gives us 2 effects, and we want to focus on the second one. The Herald skills and minions from Herald skill deal 1% more damage for every 1% of maximum life those skills reserve. So, for an Autobomber, the first one gives us buff, which we don't really need, but the Herald damage is a sledgehammer. So, our thesis is simple. Reserve most of our life to make Herald of Thunder's Storm's Bolt scale like a boss fight in every screen. There are currently 2 ways you can reserve life onto Herald of Thunder. The first one is link Arrogant support to our Herald of Thunder to reserve life, and the second one is using Blood Magic Keystone, which removes all mana, gives us 10% more maximum life, and skill reserve life instead of mana. In this build, we'll only focus on Blood Magic because Arrogant support take up 1 slot for our damage support skill. Thankfully, this patch has released a Falborn version of the Covenant armor body, which grants a Blood Magic Keystone for free. This gives us the freedom to save up to 6 passive skill points to spend somewhere else. Falborn, the Covenant's body armor, also comes with the socketed gems are supported by level 29 added chaos damage. That means our Herald of Thunder are currently a 7-linked gem. That leads us to a -10's unreserved life. We can solve this using the runecraft of Treachery, which grants us 50% increased reservations efficiencies of skills. The line that sets auras from your skills also affect enemies doesn't affect us, because the Herald skill is not an aura. So that leaves us with about 3% unreserved life, just enough to pay costs for other skills. So, with 3% unreserved life, our next problem is going to be chaos damage, because chaos damage can bypass energy shield. So our fix is coruscating elixirs, with chaos damage does not bypass energy shield during effect. So to keep it rolling, we slot in a timeless jewels for the Trader's Keystone, granting 4 charges per empty flask slot for every 5 seconds. So we deliberately leave 1 slot unequipped. Since we only have 3% of reserve life, we can leave out our life flask. Combining with the Alchemist Genius and some flask durations, we're able to maintain our flask 90% of the time during bossing. By the way, we no longer need the Impulsas anymore. The new Falborn Barrack Respite Ring gives us shock enemies you kill explode, so Clear Speed can stay insane and freeze our chest for real power. So let's talk about how to scale the build. First of all, since we're only using 1 Herald skill, Lone Messenger is a must-have since it grants us 100% more damage. In other words, we're getting doubled our damage. Next, we use all of the Herald clusters that grants us Herald damage and Herald AoE effect. The more AoE, the further the storm can hit, granting us a safer distance to hit the mobs. I also used the crit node for our Herald in order to detect the elemental overload, which grants us a huge amount of TPS when we deal a critical hit once every 8 seconds. For the permanent juice, we slot a Grand Spectrum trio. The 2 jewels that grants increased elemental damage and a third that grants minimum frenzy charge. Those charges feed us more damage and much needed cast speed. So in total, we're getting 90% increased elemental damage and 3 minimum frenzy charges. And to crown it all, Forbidden Flesh and Flame let us borrow Heart of Destructions, which grant us wide AoE for maps or burst for bosses, exactly when we want it. We now add another layer of damage to our build with Replica Heat Shielder, converting our lightning damage into extra cold based on the enemy's shock effect. And this helm even rolls increased shock effect itself, with the Shaper of Storms guaranteeing shock. That conversion is up all the time, and it even scales right alongside other multipliers. Now, take all that and multiply it by 3. Annihilating Light, our quarterstaff triples elemental damage, but it slashes our elemental resistance in return. That means gearing has to do the heavy lifting. Once those are in place, the staff's X3 is pure profit, leading to 40 million DPS. And just to prove we're not coping, as of today on poe.ninja, filtered to elemental list with Herald of Thunder and sorted by TPS, this character is sitting at rank 1. Ranking shift days to day, but right now, the storm is on top. Alright, let's take a 30 seconds break and enjoy this Uber Elders fight. Let's talk about our defense layer. And don't you worry, because this won't take long. First, for mapping, we socket the Foulborn Inspired Learning, so every rare we delete Hanses is buffed for 20 seconds. It's like a mini headhunter, and it makes mapping feels a little illegal. Next, we inflate Herald of Thunder's area and change Frostfling for positioning. Blink to the edge, tag the pack, and by the time storms finish the job, we're already 3 steps ahead. During bossing, we use the Blue Nightmare Jewel with the Tattoo of Storm Rider to reach up to 73% spell block. Also, Bastion of the Elements gives us a Primal Aegis. It's a chunky elemental shield that can soak in spike and refreshes every 4 seconds. So, since our Herald Storm needed shock to proc, we definitely cannot run. Monsters have 100% chance to avoid elemental ailments. Also, you need to pass our no leech and the no recovery or less recovery nonsense. Everything else, farmable. Yeah, it's a cannon build, but with clean movement you can still beat Urba bosses. Learn the pattern, stay up axis, Frostfling to the slam, and let the storm do the work while you're not where the damage lands. And that's a wrap. If you like to copy the madness, the link to the POB is in the descriptions. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And I'll see you in the next storm.